Hi there, and welcome to day 17 of the Love My Love Life Bootcamp. We've been laying the foundation over the last couple of weeks of how to build up to a fascinating, amazing, breathtaking, intimate relationship. But what we're going to do this week, like I told you, is we're going to dig way down and we're going to get to the real bottom of what needs to happen. How do we really go about building that relationship? Because at the end of the day, most people, most relationships experts, most of your friends and family, most people can tell you ways to get a guy. They'll tell you how to dress and where to go and what to do and what to say when you get there. And it's really, it's sometimes it's fun and it's interesting, but it's very hard to find someone who can really tell you how to sustain a great relationship once you found it. So that's what we're getting into this week. So yesterday we talked a little bit about finding your Mr. Right, or if you're already in a relationship or married, how you know it is a part of is a part of what you do in a relationship to help him become your Mr. Right, right? So just who we are as women, as the nurturers of the world, as the the givers of the world. Um, a part of our role is to help people grow into the best version of themselves, and in a relationship, that's kind of part of what we do. The thing is that we haven't been doing it right, so that is what we're covering this week: how to do that properly, how to do that in a way that sustains a relationship, that grows a relationship and makes it beautiful. All right, so today we're going to get into what relationships really require, right? And what relationships really require if they are going to grow is they require connection. Now, connection is essential, right? And what connection is that thread between you and your partner, between you and your significant other, that thread that makes you a part of each other, right? And so unfortunately, that thread is sorely lacking in most relationships, which is why they struggle, right? There's a lot of things there. There's a lot of good in relationships, but people don't see it a lot of times because that connection is not there. So when you learn how to bring the connection, right, you learn how to bring the fire. You learn how to bring the glue that holds that relationship together. So that is what we're going to get into today. So we talked about a couple of days during this training how men and women fall in love and the differences in the ways that we fall in love. And so, we talked about how women fall in love on an emotional level first, and then physical, and then intellectually. And how men fall in love, physically, emotionally, and then intellectually. And the thing about it is that as women, for us, we can go through all three phases just like that. We could actually be going through them simultaneously, right? And we talked about how our brains are set up and different chemicals and what's actually happening there, right? But for men, it just doesn't work that way. So, men have to process each stage separately, and that's why I talk about crawling into love, because it gives him time to go through those stages. Because the issue is that most men in relationships never get past the emotional stage. So obviously they go through the physical stage, right? And then they get to the emotional stage, and that's where a lot of times you'll find those guys who will ask you to marry them or ask you to be their girlfriends or whatever the case may be. Those guys who start to commit and start to act like he's in a relationship. They're in that emotional phase, but they never get to that phase, that intellectual phase, where they're just like, they put it all together in their minds and it just makes sense. And, we make sense, and it's a good thing. They never fully make that connection, which is why relationships are always so tentative. That's why they always feel like, you're walking on eggshells and you need to be careful what you say and make sure you don't do that, and so, a lot of the times, that's what we end up doing. We end up becoming that I want to be your girlfriend girl, right? So that girl who's just kind of like, that woman who's just kind of like, um, if I do this, then he'll love me. I'll I want to just take care of him. I want to make sure he's okay. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to make him happy, right? Without any real regard to whether he's earned that, without any real regard to who he's being in a relationship. We're just trying to show him that we're an amazing woman, which we are, right? And that we really want him in our lives. And I'm going to tell you, that is why your relationships often go downhill, right? That is what brings the pain, because when you start trying to force that relationship, when you just want that relationship to happen, and a lot of times, let's be honest, right? A lot of times we actually know that that's not a great situation for us, that it's not the perfect relationship for us, but that doesn't stop us, does it? We still, we figured out that we have a great guy on our hands, and we don't want him to get away. So there we have it. So what I'm asking you to do is understand two things. One, I need you to understand that relationships are not static. They are growing, breathing, just works in progress. Relationships are a dance, right? Sometimes you lead and he follows. Sometimes he leads and you follow. Between, oh my God, again, the media and the nonsense and the women's lib and all of those other things, it makes it seem like all of that's wrong. Like we have to be in control and we have to run things. And as women, a lot of times we have control issues anyway, because we need to control the outcomes, because we're raising kids and we're doing all of these big things, and so we feel like we need to have some control over how they play out, right? And so but we have to understand that in relationships, there needs to be balance, right? Then really a good relationship has great balance, and that's one of the hallmarks of a good relationship. So at the end of the day, right, you have to be able to connect with a man's heart, right? That thread that I talked about, that line between you guys goes from your heart to his heart, right? And a lot of times we fail to make that connection. And it's really not our fault. We fail to make that connection because we don't know that connection needs to be made. We don't know how to make that daggone connection, right? So today, here we go again. We've talked about, your physical essence, your feminine essence, and how to be amazing. But what we really don't understand, if I could get you to understand this, your life becomes so much easier, right? Relationships are not so much about how you treat him. Relationships are really about how you treat yourself, how you respect yourself, how you show up in the world. If you don't believe me, just try it. All I'm asking you to do is try it. Then you can, if you find that I'm wrong, come back and tell me. Taisha, you're bananas, okay? But try it. Show up as your big, bold, beautiful self, right? Stop, people are like, well, why do you want me to pretend to be something I'm not? Or why do, in none of my trainings do I give like scripts or silly lines to say, or if this then that kind of thing. That is not a part of who I am, because relationships are about you being you. So it's about you saying and doing what comes natural to you. But that's not what we do. We morph into whatever it is we think we need to be for him to be happy, for him to accept us and want to be with us and to stay with us, right? And just understanding that men are wired differently. They're totally wired differently. We talked about that. We have more of the bonding chemical than they do. So we bond faster. They need time. We have to give them that, right? They need space. We have to give them that. We think that giving a man the space to be a man, the space to breathe a little bit, take something away from us. It says something about us. It means something about us. We're doing something wrong. Absolutely not. Giving the man the space to be a man gives him that space that he needs to make that connection. We don't like that space is what pushes him into the intellectual phase, right? In the emotional phase, he's just kind of in free fall. He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to he's trying to actually, he's nitpicking. He's trying to find everything he can to say like, this relationship is not going to work, because he's afraid, right? He's about to lose his freedom because he really cares for you, right? And so his freedom is on the line, and he needs to process that. And so when you're in that part of a relationship, whether you're already in a committed relationship or not, when you're dating, whatever the case may be, when you reach those stages of the relationship, and they come more than once, right? That's what we have to understand. They come more than once. But when he's in that emotional free fall stage and he's trying to figure out what his next step is, like, do I really like her? Is she really the one? What we do is we go, I'm right here. So we're calling and we're texting and, hey, where you been? I'm just checking on you, making sure everything's okay. Oh, I saw this thing. It reminded me of you. I just wanted you to see it. Oh, there's this course coming up over here. I thought you might be interested in it. Whatever. We find every way in the world. When he starts to pull away, when he stops calling as much, when he's starting to create that distance so he can go through the intellectual phase, we don't give him a shot because we're like, come back, don't go, right? And so we don't give him that time to get through the emotional phase, get to the intellectual phase, where I promise you is where all the magic happens, right? So when he starts to pull away, let him. There's no nice and easy way to say that. Let him pull away. Give him that space he needs. Call him one time. Are you okay? And that's just to make sure he wasn't in an accident. He's not somewhere laid up in the hospital or whatever the case may be. And it's just like, I was hurt and you didn't even care. No, call him one time. Get him on the phone or whatever the case may be. Just calling to check on you. Want to make sure everything's okay. If he say, why? I just want to make sure you're okay. I was thinking about you, whatever. One time. And then don't call again. I don't care how difficult it is. Do not call again. Do you hear me? Okay. And then you wait. And you wait for him to process. And people are like, well, how long do I wait? You wait until he calls back. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if he doesn't call back, you've done yourself a favor. You've gotten rid of a toad. More joy for you, And so it doesn't always feel that way because, we've decided that he's a great guy and we want him in our lives. But if he doesn't call, he wasn't your guy. I promise. Even if you're already in a relationship, if he doesn't, anytime he starts to take you for granted, be breezy, just like, oh, hands off. It's just kind of like, I love you, but I love me more. Let's be clear, right? So, at the end of the day, look at it this way. Anytime being with him is a necessity to you, okay, he's going to run. He's going to bolt. I told you, he doesn't want to be responsible for your happiness. He doesn't want to be, he doesn't want that to be his job. Don't get me wrong. He absolutely wants to make you happy. If he's in that relationship with you, a part of his job is to know that he can keep you happy, but he doesn't want that to be his responsibility. And that makes sense because it's not fair to him, right? And so, but anytime being with him is an option, right? Like, I like you. I want to spend as much time as possible with you. But if that's not what you're into, if that's not what you're interested in, I can keep it moving. I can keep my options open, whatever the case may be. When you make that clear, and not necessarily through your words, but through your actions, right? When you make that clear, you hook him, right? You're different, right? You got to understand, right? We think like, I'm going to love him so good, he's never going to want to let me go. And that always reminds me of the movie Pretty Woman, which I think is actually one of my favorite movies. I think it's a phenomenal study in human relationships. I watched that movie. I've seen it God knows how many times. And I study that movie because, like I said, it is the quintessential relationship movie, right? So for example, in Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts' character says to Richard Gere's character, or Vivian says to whatever, but she says to him, I'm gonna love you so good, you're never gonna want to let me go. And he's like, listen, 6 days, $3,000, and trust me, I will let you go. And that's what happens, right? We're just kind of like, we're going to just love you to death and you're never going to want to go away. And we just love you so much and we're going to smother you with this love. And that's what we do. And that's what all the women do. Don't you understand? Like a great guy, all the women want to smother him with love. All the women want to hold on to him, right? So everybody's thinking the exact same thing. How you be different? You be you. Love on you. I mean, how much can you really love yourself? Can you really love yourself enough to say, hey, I'm a prize. I'm a package. How can you really just be yourself enough to let him understand that you are different. Stop pretending to want to do the stuff that he wants to do. Stop pretending to just happen to be in the area. Stop pretending all those things that we pretend in relationships. Stop it right now. Okay? You know, it's really about being the best, most loving, mindful, courteous, mature, just open-hearted woman that you can be, but without sacrificing any of your self-respect and any of your needs. That's a tall order, girl. That is a tall order, but it is totally doable, and I know that you can handle it. And so, you know, as you move through the world as your beautiful self, and you show up in your relationship as your beautiful self, because I want you to be clear, most people don't ever get to see who you are in a relationship because you're so busy trying to be who you think you need to be in a relationship with him. To hell with that, okay? Let's grow. Let's grow together, okay? That's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to change something, okay? I'm not asking you to change yourself. I'm asking you to be yourself. Such a great distinction. I'm not asking you to change yourself. I'm asking you to change the fake person you've been being in relationships and to be yourself. I'm asking you to be yourself. I'm asking you to be 100. Okay? I'm asking you to be totally, fully, unapologetically, freely, beautifully you. All right? That is all. So, you know, I said all that to say it's time for you to grow, boo. It's time for you to put your big girl panties on, right? And it's time for you to grow. Enough with the nonsense. Knock it off, okay? And really become the woman who you need to be. All right? And so for your assignment, okay, I want you to write the sequel to a love story. Right? So, you know, we see the happily ever, and they lived happily ever after. The end. Write part 2. What does that look like in a real relationship, right? Because now they've gotten through the crap and they've gotten together. How do they stay together? I want you to write that out. So, for example, in a movie like Pretty Woman, right? I need you to understand that what happened in Pretty Woman is phenomenal, because what Vivian did was when he said to her, I will let you go, she understood. I don't have a chance. I have nothing to worry about. Let's just enjoy these 6 days. And it didn't matter. She was fully herself. So even though she didn't have a lot of social graces and all those other things, she did things that showed exactly who she was. She showed exactly the inside of her heart, right? And so what happened was he fell in love with her heart. He saw that she was phenomenal. You know, she was different. She wasn't trying so hard to please him. She was amazing, and he fell in love with that. And he went and he got her, right? And that's wonderful. If I were writing a sequel to that movie, okay, it wouldn't end quite so happily, right? So in the sequel, it would be like, she really doesn't know how to sustain a relationship, right? She hasn't really had good relationships, and then she's been you know, a hooker or a prostitute, whatever, for the last few years. And so, you know, she has her things, how she creates distance between her and her customers and that kind of thing. So she really doesn't have any relationship skills. So he comes, he saves her, she saves him back, they get together, whatever. And then all hell breaks loose because she goes back to what we know, what we've been taught. Take care of your man, be his bestie, do all the things, blah, blah, blah. You remember those big fat lies that we've learned, right? She does all of those things, and then he realizes, holy crap, she's just like everybody else. And now he's already on the hunt for someone else. Right? And so you have to understand it's all about you being you in a relationship. So again, write the sequel to a book you've read, a movie you've seen, a fairy tale, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, any of those. Just write the sequel, right? Show me what that looks like. And then, you know, we're going to look at how we make it better, right? How we make it grow, right? And so that is what I want to share with you today. I want you to know that I'm really interested in seeing you succeed. So it is really important for you to get this connection piece right. This video is a little bit longer than the other videos because I really needed to make some sincere distinctions for you. And I also needed to make sure that you got the point of what I am trying to say and how important it is for you to build the phenomenal relationships that you want. All right? So, having said that, I want you to have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.